It's Wednesday, so that means there's a brand new weekly challenge. Before we start, somebody did ask me about the badges that I use for my heroes. I'll go over that at the end of the video. But for now, let's see what's waiting for us with KABOOM. Dark Corner, kill all walkers. That's an encouraging start. Now Beth, of course, is our hero. Somebody that I've never really managed to get to grips with, so this week is going to be very exciting. It's a chance to use a hero that I just still haven't learned how to use properly. I'm going to be using these characters, Yumiko and Mercer. Let's just see what is in store. Now, KABOOM. That's a very subtle hint about what we might expect. I think there's going to be explosive walkers and or explosive barrels as well. So that's something that we're going to be looking out for. There's a couple of ways to approach that. Now, we could always just go with a full melee team, so we don't have to worry about blowing ourselves up. Or, we could of course go the opposite way, as I have done here, and we'll just lean into that whole kaboomy thing. We're just going to blow the heck out of everything that we see. I actually think it's better to do the latter, to actually lean into the explosiveness of this mission set. Exploding walkers, exploding barrels, they're very good at knocking health off of any walker, no matter how tough. Now, this map should be familiar. I mean, unless you started the game, within a week. This was on last week's set, I believe. So you start in the bottom left. You have walkers on the map. There's some tough ones like tanks and things like that. And then some walkers come out of those garage doors, which are above your starting position. And then the turn after, some walkers appear from the right of the map. Some tough walkers. I think you benefit from having ranged characters on this one, definitely. I think you have an explosive walker coming out of those garage doors above your starting position, surrounded by other walkers. Turning them into a means to destroy their buddies is a very efficient way of getting through that map. It's certainly not a tricky one. You might want things like wide arc weapons, things that cripple walkers, maybe even ensnare them if you can. If you went melee, then characters like Tyrese, who can create those big debuff circles that slow the walkers, very helpful. It's not that challenging a mission. Should be okay with that one. Get the loot and get out. So it's a looty one. Okay, well, let's bring the Glenmeister General. He can have that. Beth can have that. And then, yeah, I want a ranged character. It's going to be Rick. That's some good armor. Fuse box, get the loot and get out. Yeah, I think I'm familiar with this one. Yeah, so this was on a set again recently. No exploding barrels, but exploding walkers. Kind of taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back, with the fact that I'm blowing things up. I do have weapons that can reduce threat, but I'm willfully making tons of noise. Obviously, if you have Beth as the leader, then anyone sort of has her ability. That is, you kill a walker and those rings appear. Anything within those takes a lot more damage than it otherwise would. All the details, of course, can be found on her profile. This is a fairly simple one. Obviously, the hook is that you've got this. Press this and it slides the gate one way or the other. And that certainly makes it easier for you. It's not something, obviously, that the walkers have the intelligence to operate. So it's just something that serves you. Having Glenn is a really, really good choice on this one. He can activate that switch, he can search those boxes, and he'll still have an action left. So maybe take a ranged character like I did, so that you can blow up those walkers if you want to. But yeah, Glenn, really, really good choice. Having 2 scouts means you've got 2 very fast characters, you know, Glenn and Beth, who hit very, very hard. Just don't get caught. Obviously, if you go through the gate at the top, that can limit your visibility. You can stay in that cage as long as you like shooting walkers, but don't forget there's a threat counter and walkers can appear in that cage, which is pretty nasty. Okay, where are we? Sorry if there was a little jump, I just had to pause the video, but let's get cracking. Old bricks, get the loot and get out. Well, this sounds like another job for Glenn. Don't recognise this map just from the name. Oh yeah, this one. Okay, no threat counter on old bricks. It's good to know, I guess. That means that there's going to be walkers coming in turn after turn. Yeah, there they are. The kind of map where you can easily... Yeah, the kind of map where you could probably quite easily get surrounded. That's not very good. Especially on harder difficulties. You don't start off with too many walkers, but then you could easily just start getting surrounded. Walkers appear, and then as the turns go by, eventually it'll be 2 walkers will come out of every point, where at the moment only 1 is coming out of. I think Glenn's really quite essential here. And I'm thinking on harder difficulties, things like Walker Mike, the Whisperer's Mask, maybe using characters like Beta, or equipment, if you have it, like the CRM axe for the bruisers. The kinds of things that let you glide past walkers without them having the opportunity to attack you could be very useful. Remember, the objective is to search them boxes, get the loot, and get out. It's not to kill everything that you see in front of you. Although there's some tight sort of parts of that map, there is at least 1 explosive walker. That can really be useful in clearing the way. If you can herd the walkers, if you can control them, maybe throw a flare out, get them all to crowd around it, and then blow up that walker, that's a good way to take out a lot of enemies very quickly. And of course, at least there's no threat counter, so you can make as much noise as you want. Lock in, secure the area. Okay, we're going to go with Yumiko and Mercer again. Yeah, let's keep this team. Okay, I'm trying to tap on that gate to see how many turns that's going to take, and it doesn't seem to... Normally you can tap on an interactable object and it will say like how many turns it would take to close it. There we go. Now I am going to get Mercer to do that. And the reason is because he will turn around and shoot at what is Yumiko is shooting at, as long as he can see it and it's in range. You could also use Connie to close that door, and as long as you are cuddled up next to her at the end of your turn, you will get the benefits from her leadership trait Better Together. So 3 turns, not too long. There's the explosive walker. And that's how we do it. Obviously, we're at a low level. The difficulty is not very high, so of course it's a breeze at the moment. It gets tougher later on. 3 turns though, you could distract walkers for pretty much that long with flares, Whisperer's Mask. You might want to have crippling weapons or ensnaring weapons to slow the walkers down. Once you've closed that gate, you do have to kill everything. So you better be ready for that. And everything will probably be quite close to you if you haven't managed to kill it, because they will advance on you closing that gate. It could be a tricky one. I think definitely making sure that you have a ranged character closing the gate with Yumiko nearby so that you still get the benefit from their shots. Having Connie close the door, making sure that you are next to her. I suppose you could. I suppose Beth could still close the door as long as you're getting kills with other characters. They have her leadership trait. They'd still be creating those debuff circles. It's not an easy mission, that one. And if you do have any trouble with it, ask me, and either I or somebody from the community, I'm sure, will be able to help you out. What do we got here? So we've got a threat counter on this one. We've got a lot of interactable stuff as well, so that turns my mind to Glenn being a good addition here. Might have to remember that for the future. What do we got here? We've got an armoured walker. No need to actually shoot him. Bad guy's going to appear. Yes, they are. Okay, so Glenn could definitely be a good choice for this one as well. Looks like Glenn could be a bit of a superstar on a lot of the maps here. The reason I say that is because, of course, he can search these boxes, and he can also activate that switch to open the gate and still have his movement left. If everybody is, say, here and where Mercer is, open the gate with Glenn, and then just quickly rush to the end. Now, some walkers will appear blocking your escape. Could lure them away with the Whisperer's Mask or a flare. Maybe use a grenade to soften them up and then kill them. That's definitely one of the ones where it's not about killing everything. It's about getting out of there. That is the objective. Okay, looks like we've got one more mission left on this map set. What will it bring? We have got fire in the hole. Get to the exit. Okay. Not one that I recognise just from the name. You would have thought that I'd know all of these completely off by heart by now. Oh yeah, this one doesn't seem to come up too often. There's a threat counter. Walkers do appear turn after turn, so you got the worst of both worlds. You really do. Yeah, we need you slowed down. Oof, that was lucky. Okay, so this is, I mean, this is just a tricky, getting around that sort of bend there is a little bit difficult. Looks like we've got a gate, which is opened within one turn. So guess who could be useful? Glenn. Sounds like he could be a real star on a lot of these maps. Okay, so some big scary walkers appear. Well, they're normal walkers, but the ace in the hole is that they're accompanied by an explosive walker. So, blow up the explosive walker, get rid of the regular walkers. Again, the objective is to escape, not to kill everything. So all you got to do is distract those walkers, blow them up, slow them down, have equipment that lets you just slide past them, have characters that let you just stroll by them, like Huntsman Daryl or Beta, and then, of course, you're just free and clear. Are we back to the start? Yep. Now, it was asked to go over the badges that I have on my heroes, so let's just very quickly do that. I think I've done a video. This comes up every now and again. It's fine to go over some of the basics anyway. So your badges, they are little DDOs that will improve various abilities. So health, damage reduction, yes, that's it. Critical chance, damage, and critical damage. On almost all of my walkers, as you can see here on Beth, I've got damage and critical damage. The reason for that is because when you're on very high difficulties, if you take a hit, doesn't matter what it's from, you're going to go into the red health, and it doesn't matter how much damage reduction you've got because it tops out at a certain point. Doesn't matter how much health you've got because everything's just hitting so damned hard, it will get you down to red anyway. You could try giving these badges to your bruisers. You could try giving damage reduction and health to other classes as well. See if that's effective. However, I don't think you're going to go wrong having damage and critical damage. Let's check out somebody else. Let's have a look at old Rickety Rick. Okay, now something else that you might have noticed. Oh, it's the same shape. You might have noticed that there are shapes. So it's these. Let's see if we can find somebody with a different shape on their badges. Yumiko, what have you got? There you go. See, that's a different shape. It's this one here. The reason why you might want to have them all the same shape is because it gives you a boost. Now, I just clicked on the eye next to the equip badges, and that's pretty good. It tells you a lot about them. It's good information, and if you need anything as a reference, it's right here. Best places for components, the distance. I mean, you get some from Weekly Challenge, Guild Shop, just general play. And you want, of course, to have the highest quality badges on your best heroes. Look for any particular conditions. So +4 if this survivor has the lucky trait. Well, of course, Yumiko has the lucky trait. So that is also boosting those badges further. And because they are all the same shape, they sort of work together and you get a boost to the base damage or critical damage or whatever you've picked for your badges. So it's always worth trying to do that. Wait until a free badge removal event before you remove badges, because otherwise it costs gold. And that's pretty much it. Try and keep up on the badges. They make a noticeable difference. If you haven't used them, get to grips with them, equip some badges on your best survivors, and then have at it, basically. That's about everything that I could think to say about badges. If I've missed anything, just ask in the comments. But I think that's it for the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.